If your bench press stalled and you want more upper chest and triceps while reducing shoulder pain, then the old school reverse grip bench press might just be what you need. Right now, I'll explain the major benefits and provide form cues to maximize its effectiveness. Firstly, the reverse grip bench press is one of the most triceps bias presses you can do. The underhand grip ensures the elbows stay close to your sides, achieving maximum tuck. It's similar when you do chin-ups or underhand rows. The bar is drawn closer to the hips, making elbow flaring upwards nearly impossible, which biases the lats more than the upper back. Similarly, in the reverse grip bench press, no matter the grip width, the elbows always remain firmly tucked. The pressing motion is away from the body, being somewhat of a straight line. And given that you can't flare your elbows or move the bar back towards your face or will literally slip from your hands, it makes sense why the triceps get ruined. In fact, for this reason alone, it targets them more than a close grip bench press, where some elbow flaring can occur. The closest alternatives might be the close neutral grip or the incline close grip. Yet, the reverse grip flat yields similar benefits without increasing range of motion or shifting the pressure higher up on the anterior delts. Therefore, for a flat press, this raw variation is unmatched for arm development. Although I dislike minimalism, if you specialize in the reverse grip bench and got to advanced numbers, I'm confident your arms can easily surpass 16 inches without even doing extensions or pushdowns, even though I highly recommend them and will never go without. A word of caution though. This intense tucking is also a double-edged sword, which can sometimes speed up elbow overuse, which might be viewed as a negative, but I believe it's not a concern unless you're regularly performing hard sets under 5 reps without ever doing pronate work, which by the way, doesn't have to be a horizontal press. And it only proves my point that the lateral and medial head of the triceps are worked over time. Not to mention, rotating between reverse and normal bench press alleviates this potential issue. So my advice is to simply add the reverse grip bench into your exercise rotation. It doesn't have to be the only way you bench press moving forward, or that you never close grip bench again because it's marginally inferior for triceps. Regardless, this reversal pressing motion mirrors that of a geared bencher and is a great option for torso dominant strugglers. That said, the muscle biasing story doesn't end there. Since the upper arm, aka humerus, rotates, as you approach the lockout, the alignment with the upper chest fibers improves, which is actually what you feel when doing low to high cable flies, which allows for a slightly better squeeze even if barbell benching is length and biased. And according to EMG research, which has its limitations but could be insightful when aligned with biomechanics, the reverse grip bench press offers 30% more upper chest activation than traditional flat benching. The stimulation is so effective that it's comparable to incline benching, to the extent that could even replace it entirely. Now that's a bold claim, but it makes sense when you observe gymnasts. I believe their impressive upper chest development can be credited to rings turned out, RTO, work. Essentially, RTO dips and RTO push-ups emphasize the upper chest more than when the hands are pronated or neutral. And it's the same effect with bench pressing. So if incline benching doesn't resonate with you for whatever reason, maybe the range of motion or angle doesn't feel right on your shoulders, the flat reverse grip becomes a compelling alternative. The simple act of supination can drastically change the joint angles, offering a fresh exercise that can even be incorporated into a max effort rotation. It's also compatible with the floor press or Smith machine, so variety is truly endless. The reverse grip itself becomes the X factor, being accessible and genuinely effective in various settings, both at home and at the gym. Like I know Jeffrey Verity Schofield loves reverse grip benching the Smith machine, which provides a stable setup and optimizes growth for the upper chest and triceps. And although I enjoy my Swiss bar gains, the reverse grip bench is a viable replacement because it's more stable given the smaller dimensions and no wrist rotation. There's technically higher strength potential if you specialize in it long enough, which might explain why some reverse grip benchers eventually match or even surpass their best pronated bench, which I'd argue this is a more challenging exercise to get more out of this weight. Like I can do 365 versus 405 normal. However, the fact that the shoulder pain can be reduced and overuse slowed down, likely because we can train the reverse grip bench harder with more volume, explains why some can eventually lift more. I believe that's the real reason. And in the real world, we certainly see this among some elites who had prior benching injuries. My two classic examples are John Fung and Mitchell Tom 32, both of whom inspired my journey with this movement. Each turned to reverse grip bench out of necessity, because all pronated pressing caused severe shoulder discomfort. This was the case regardless of variations, whether body weight or with dumbbells. Introducing the reverse grip was the major turning point. Its benefits were so immediate and profound that it became their primary exercise for over an entire year, facilitating shoulder rehabilitation and enabling them to set new PRs once more. John Fung progressed from a mid-300s normal bench to a 4-plate reverse bench, while Mitchell Tom elevated from 4.5 plates normal to 5 plates reverse. Both maximize their strength potential naturally with this single pain-free mass builder. Not to mention, the newly developed tissue capacity and long break from other forms of pressing eventually allowed them to restart regular benching even though it used to cause immense pain. As a result, John Fung quickly achieved a 425 reverse grip bench and a 405 regular bench. Impressive, given the lack of long-term specialization. And Mitchell Tom, well, he actually didn't return to pronated benching even though he was able to. Probably because the recovery benefits of the reverse grip were too much to ignore. So it's pain-free in itself and serves as a legitimate rehab or prehab overloader, which is unique for barbell pressing, considering its restrictiveness. Plus, you can actually grip wider than your normal bench and still have less pain. Just to clarify, with a normal grip, I always use a thumb away distance from the smooths. If I go wider, my shoulders quickly start to ache. I've tried to adjust over many years, even gradually, but my build just can't handle it, including on push-ups. However, with the reverse grip, this issue vanishes. Here, I position one finger on the rings, either index or ring, and it feels identical to pronated thumb away from the smooths. Doesn't that say a lot? You're not constrained to using a close grip, yet you're not compromising the triceps involvement because close or not, you'll still be tucked in. Yet it doesn't come at the additional cost of wearing down the shoulders. I can't say that for any other press except for maybe wide neutral, but reverse still takes the cake since there's no internal rotation at all. Now, one more thing I'll say about pain. Some lifters complain that a reverse grip bench press is restrictive on the wrists and should be avoided if you don't have the proper mobility or structure. I completely disagree. For one, your wrist can be strengthened in an underhand position, which calisthenics have proven to be true over many decades of planche training with little injuries. But even if it weren't the case, there's a secret hack that solves this problem for 100% of lifters no matter how weak or strong you are, and that is using the talon grip, which is a reverse grip that sets the bar in between the middle and index finger, like a peace sign. Full credit to Jimmy Kolb for this one, the equip benching world record holder with 1,400 pounds in competition. He's managed 900 pounds for reps in a multiply slingshot, 600 raw, and 405 for 20 reps, all in reverse. He surpassed the legendary Anthony Clark, who was the first man to reverse grip bench press 800 pounds in a shirt. Plus, Jimmy Kolb is 5'5" like me, is wide, has small hands, and cannot tolerate the normal reverse grip bench. But with the talon style, he's literally producing never before seen numbers. So what's your excuse? When you set the bar in between your fingers, such that they're twisted sideways, positioned like a V, or throwing a javelin, the bar rests perfectly on the palm, being slightly out almost like an easy bar. It's still in reverse, just that the minor offset is enough to completely solve the anthropometry problem. Everyone can do this, and now you'll start to build new calluses lower down your hand. So don't complain about the pressure, as it'll be smack on the bone. It's not joint pain, you won't get hurt, okay? And if you're in the 2 to 4 plate zone, which I reckon will be the maximum, then not using the talon grip is pure cope. So don't grip like you would a barbell curl. You'll also find this makes the unrack much easier, which solves that complaint too. Just ensure the mouth is aligned with the J-hooks. After all, you're pressing away from the body, so the extra clearance doesn't matter. Now, if you're still uncomfortable, then you can always start from the bottom up with safety pins or straps, aka the reverse grip dead bench. This can drop you by 3 to 5 reps, so it's self-limiting and guarantees you won't get hurt or have to worry about the bar slipping out. It's harder in the purest sense of pressing from the worst position, but easier to get into that position, including with a normal reverse grip. So maybe you won't even need the talon grip at all, since you can reset and deload the wrist from the body. It's not constant pressure, but the difficulty will humble you, especially on the first rep, so there's always a trade-off. Regardless, this is the safest dead bench since you're exploding with zero stretch reflex in the lengthened position while being supinated. So the external rotation in this deep, vulnerable position, which is harder than pausing, is a huge deal, particularly for recovery. And that's about it. Just find which reverse grip variation feels best on your wrists, shoulders, and elbows, and stick to it. Decide between pause and dead stop, and know that you'll mostly be flat benching, and you'll choose between a standard reverse grip or talon grip being wider than pronated benching. Let's say another thumb away distance. This form should be a good starting point, and after a month of experimenting, you'll get grooved in. So those are the major benefits. With the reverse grip bench press, you can still lift heavy, enable superior shoulder recovery, and bias the triceps and upper chest more than pronated benching, all without having to buy a new bar or overcomplicate your exercise selection. It's a no-brainer. So I hope that answers your questions as to why I love the reverse grip bench and reintroduce it after so much time. Now it's your turn. Give it on a shot, share how it compares to normal benching, especially if you try the talon grip hack, and I will talk to you next time.